Morning. My name is Deacon Dave, and I'd like to welcome you to Reflections. So today's gospel reading is Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 4. Now the big question for today is, are you clean, or is your heart full of leprosy? Let's find out. Well, it is a short reading, but filled with just tons of information on the times of Jesus and actually for our times today. It's the first of 10 miracles that will be presented to us through chapter 8 and 9 of Matthew. Now, two things are in play today. First, we have a great crowd following Jesus after he just finished a Sermon on the Mount. And we have one of the very brave lepers. Now, it fails to register with us today just what a break of law and tradition that was actually about to happen here. Once one was determined to have leprosy, one was determined to be ritualistically unclean. And they were to dress in rags, stay out of the community off by themselves. I know it sounds like a horrible way of treating someone with a disease. And at first glance, it does seem pretty extreme, but leprosy was considered as contagious as it can get. Kind of like COVID-19, and well, what's our solution to that when someone tests positive? They're to remain in seclusion until the virus hopefully passes. So we can easily make the comparison. It really was the best thing that they could do for the community at the time. There was no cure for Hansen's disease except for Jesus at that point. But this particular leper came out from seclusion into a seemingly large crowd. He then paid homage to Jesus, and he seemed to actually know that Jesus could heal him. On many counts in the law, in this culture, and good sense, this would be forbidden. The Torah law was pretty clear on this. Actually, touching a leper was forbidden because one would make themselves ritually unclean. Same concept as touching sin, demons, or death. Jesus understood this and actually touches and then heals the man. Obviously, there's no way to make God ritualistically unclean. One should also recognize that not only does Jesus heal him, but also instructs him to do precisely what the law dictated the person in the situation to do. See the priest, show that he was no longer infected. Following the laws given to Moses, the man could again become ritually clean and become part of the covenant life of Israel. Now, in the 5th century, Augustine made a very interesting parallel to this. If we look at leprosy as representing mortal sin, we know that this spiritual disease of mortal sin takes away the spiritual grace from the soul and makes it harder and harder to fully participate in the church, our community. Couple that with the adherence to mortal sin, causing scandal, false contrition, can also be contagious and influence others into sin. So based on Augustine's parallel, we can see Jesus' action of touching, healing, and instructing the leper as signifying the sacrament of confession. The Levitical priesthood is actually a foreshadowing of the new covenant priest. The priests are instrumental with reconciling sinners with God and restoring them to spiritual health. The story Jesus gave us points us straight to our hearts, right where we're at. Now, as we heard in Sunday's Gospel, God knows every hair on our heads. He knows our hearts as well. Now, leprosy now has a regimen of treatments that make it controllable and even curable. Jesus gave us the cure to our spiritual leprosy. We just need to use that gift of grace that He gave us. Be good, play nice. Thank God.